Welcome back, guys, to day 16 of our journey to 1500 ELO on chess.com. Now, after yesterday's video, we hit 100 subscribers, and I just have to say I'm really thankful for everything so far. When I created this channel 2 weeks ago, I didn't expect to get more than like 10 views per video, but now, well, now we're here, so thank you all. Well, let's just jump on ahead into our game today and see what happens. I think this is our highest rated opponent so far, from Serbia, Pishta 55. He plays 1d4 and we will play our knight to f6 and maybe play for a queen's gambit decline kind of setup. It seems our opponent plays the London. So then we have the question here, do we play an immediate c5? Or do we perhaps... We might build up for a c5 and just start out like this, I think. We could also play like this, targeting this pawn here, which I think we might go ahead and do. The London is a really solid opening, so it's going to be difficult to find a lot of weaknesses immediately. So we'll just try to get a proper position here and build behind everything here. Maybe try to crack at the center or his pawn structure at some point. This move here should probably seek to put his knight here perhaps at some point. I think here we are either gonna castle, or we might play this immediate move here. I think I like b6, although it might not be the best move. It's going to allow this bishop development here, and it's going to allow this expansion over here. So let's go ahead and play this. They play their bishop here, which I'm not super familiar with. I think most of the time London players tend to play their bishop here. Let's go on ahead and push our pawn through the center. I'm not seeing any tactical ideas here. It's probably too early on, so we will go ahead and play this. And at some point we probably want to play d5 as well, which would be just about now to save our rook along this diagonal. And then at some point we could look at this move as well, picking up the bishop here. But first of all we have to play this, I think. So what does our opponent play here? They might play like this, or they might even look for a queenside castle and just start a pawn storm here. I would have liked trying to trap their bishop here, but I think that's going to be difficult, as they could always reposition it here. This, I think, is... I don't really understand the idea behind this move, as it just gives us the bishop here. And this move defends everything here. So what is our opponent going to play in response here? They capture. Okay. Here we have the option actually of capturing with our knight, which might be a good move here. So I'm not seeing a lot of good infiltration squares here. This might be powerful, but we would end up trading knights here, which I'm not really liking. And I think I prefer this bishop here on this diagonal here or over here. And we will go ahead and open our bishop like this. I think our opponent might have been a bit too trigger happy here, but it's difficult to say yet. This move here probably prepares kingside castling, but we might as well see queenside castling here and a massive attack down here. I want to play this move, but I think we'll just start out with castling. They castle kingside, which should mean we are safe for the time being here. And how about a move like this, applying diagonal pressure here? It's not going to do much immediately, but I think it's not too bad either. I think we could capture, but we are not really prepared here along the files with our rooks. Either way, we do want to open up the position at some point because we have the bishop here, and open positions tend to favor the bishops, but we will start out like this, I think. Alternatively, we could push our pawn first and then move our bishop to build up behind our pawns, but I'm not really sure as to whether that's necessary or not. I think we'll move like this first and see what happens. They defend their knight like this. And in this position here, they might be looking for this move even. This would favor our opponent. So how about we reposition our pieces here? This knight is not doing a lot right now. We could try to get it back here, but that's probably not the best square. This might have been a good square for it. I think this rook move might be decent, because our opponent might try to force this pawn break in the middle, opening up this file, as would be evident by this move. And I think this move might have been a bit inaccurate, as we might have wanted to expand on this side. Well, let's go ahead and take a look again at the position here. I think we'll go ahead and play this move. I'm not quite sure as to what the best move is here. There might be some critical approach here, but I'm not seeing any super obvious moves. But we will try to remember to look at this point in the game in hindsight to find out how we should have formulated our plan. Well, they move out like this. I'm curious as to what this does. It might intend to play this move. We could perhaps play this move though, which might force this kind of a recapture, or a capture, rather. But this would be met by this, I'm noticing. And it would be hanging in two different ways, which I'm not really liking. So let's try to find some alternative way here. I don't really mind this when I look at it, because our opponent doesn't really have a way of getting past our pawn's chain here without sacking a piece. So we might try to open up like this, and if they capture here, we probably find a way of repositioning our pieces to better squares, I think. Now they can no longer capture with the knight either. This move is looking a bit interesting. And I think the best approach by our opponent would be playing this move, which it doesn't necessarily induce a lot of weaknesses as they have this bishop, but it might be a problem in the long term for our opponent, I think. Alternatively, we could try to reposition our knight, but I think we'll do this first. The only move I'm seeing here is this. Nice. And then how do we approach? Do we have this move? This could be met by this. I think they would have to capture because this doesn't do a lot for them. And moving their knight loses their other knight. So let's calculate this. This would be followed by... What happens here? Hitting their light squared bishop. They could move it. And I'm not really seeing a lot of follow-up here. I would have liked this for this move to work, but it just creates weaknesses for us, I think. We could play like this, which I'm noticing is probably what I want to do here, because it breaks apart their structure. I'm curious as well as to whether this would have been a good or bad idea in hindsight, but we will check that later on. So now, how do we go about hitting any weaknesses here? Currently this is unavailable to us, this square, but we might find alternative ways here on the queen side. I don't think our opponent could really break apart this side of the board, so we might go ahead and maybe infiltrate over here. I'm really liking this this kind of a position for our bishop. It seems really powerful. And then we could push the pawns behind it. They might move their bishop here perhaps and try to trade out, not here, that would be a lost bishop. Here even, they play this rook move. They might try doubling up here, but I'm not seeing how it would help them in the long term. This paralyzes those two pawns here, unless they move for a trade. And now we could try pushing our pawns, getting our knight into the game here, and moving our rooks over, I think. This move. I think we just respond with this. Countering and grabbing space. So they can't hit our structure. And at some point we might want to play this king move if they get a rook in this file. I'm not really seeing what this doubling up here does, because I don't see how they would break apart this pawn structure. So let's go on ahead and start pushing here instead, I think. I think we could go ahead and play this move first to get our knight into the game. Like this. Sorry, this. We don't necessarily need to move this other pawn first, and this move here would kill this move. So which moves could our opponent play here? It appears we might have blundered a pawn. Okay. Because we can't capture here, that would lose a rook. That's kind of awkward, but we will see what we are going to do about this. I'm not seeing any immediate tactical ideas here in response. We might just proceed with this plan, I think. And they're probably going to move the bishop, but we can't really expand on whatever is happening over here. Alternatively, we can't move in here because we lost this. So we will move in this way. And now they have to move their bishop. They might play this, but they move back. So what do we play now? The annoying thing here is this move is available to our opponent now. How about this? Or we could play this move, I think. I think that's actually better because we want to move off this file here, so anything we capture here doesn't lose a rook. This probably seeks to play this move. It might be looking for this move as well, but I think this is probably the move they want. I think this move is going to force this capture. And then we could look for this kind of an infiltration. This move is probably going to be on their agenda, because they would hit our pawn here. They might move back as well, but then we probably have this. This might be a mistake by our opponent, as it allows this annoying infiltration. Or it might even allow this, I think. Now that's defendable by their king. So I think we will move in like this. And then they move their rook. And I think we should be able to generate some kind of offensive against our opponent. Hopefully. They still have this move, but that's later on. This might be a critical move here, or it might have been if it wasn't for this response. The thing is, we might have wanted to cut off this square for their knight, but I don't think we have the option of doing so. Could we hit those weaknesses here? We might try to move in like this. They are probably going to play this move no matter what we play here. So let's just play like this, threatening a double stack here and threatening an infiltration over here as well. So in response to this, I think we could just play like this, I think. Defending this pawn, but I don't think we need to defend it in that way. We might lose this pawn, actually, I'm noticing, because we have to keep our bishop as defense for it. We could drop back, then they would capture. They've got 16 minutes left. God. I'm starting to think I'm just like the slowest person in this rank, but it might just be a lot of people aren't in the habit rather of using their time. I'm expecting this, this, and this. Then we come in here and generate some counterplay, and we should be able to... Wow, that's an interesting move. One which I did not expect at all. So how about this move? Then they can capture like this, this, and this. I'm finding it difficult to find a lot of responses to their moves. Our bishop, we might want to save our bishop because it's going to be difficult to win the game with only rooks later on, I think. So how about we play like this and just let this pawn die because we can't really do too much about it. And then we will try to go after their weaknesses instead. This might be played, or they will capture like this. They capture with the knight. So how about we look for something here? Something which would be what now? We could move our king up first of all. They might push this pawn at some point. But luckily we are covering it right now at least. It's going to be a bit difficult looking for a win in this position as our opponent's up 13 minutes and 2 pawns, but their structure is kind of compromised over here at least. Our opponent finds a good move here. Which would get their structure back in order. We might want to avoid that, but what happens after this and this? I don't think we lose anything. We might try to target this instead if the knight moves. We have to move our rook, but where do we move it to? Let's go on ahead and hit their knight first. I'm hoping our opponent blunders a piece here. They go for this trade here. And either we give them the open file or destroy our structure. I don't think we should give them any chance of counterplay over there. So we might play like this at some point. Opening up this might have been a bit too risky. I think this gives us a pawn. They might play like this to try to trade a pawn back. But they push. And then this is met by... How about moving our king up? This pawn chain here is really difficult to target with rooks currently, but we will try to find a way. This. Oh. I think we'll go ahead and capture. This might be scary though. They didn't go for it, luckily. And it seems like we're trading down to one rook each. So let's see if we are able to get to their weaknesses before they get to ours. This, and this, I think, would be good. This move even. They couldn't actually defend this pawn if they wanted to. So let's play like this, trying to hit their pawns. They can't move here because this is covered and their king is too far away. And we are preventing this pawn push here. This move defends this pawn, but I'm not really seeing what it does afterwards. They can't really do much along this file, I think, because our king covers stuff. Let's move like this, try to preserve our time. We will go on ahead and pick up another pawn. And suddenly we are up one pawn. Which was... it's unexpected, to be honest, in this position. Here we might try to grab this active attacking square, hitting their pawn here, and cutting off their king along this rank. This would tie their rook down to the defense of this pawn. They push their pawn here. I think we might push this pawn even. They are threatening moving their king in here, after which they couldn't actually move like this, but they could try to hit our other pawn. Let's have a look here. Here. I think this is fine. We don't have a lot of time here, so we are going to have to be quick about this. Are we playing towards a draw here or not? A draw would net us some ELO points, but I don't think we should go for a draw. They might look for this, and we might go here with a check after moving. We are forced back here. They might move in like this, trying to threaten our pawn here, but I don't think they want to lose this pawn, to be honest. So I'm curious as to what they are doing here, or planning to do rather. I think this might be a theoretical draw, but I think we'll just look and see what happens. I would like to try to create some counterplay here, but I don't want to lose this pawn. Pushing this f pawn here to f6 might be a good idea to try to create a little castle for a king that we can move around like this afterwards, shielding ourselves from checks. They move their king in, and I think we will go like this and this. Or this might be good for us, I think. Let's have a look here. If they capture here, I don't think we have time to calculate, so let's go like this, which is the safer option. But let's try to remember looking at this afterwards. Now we will play like this. They might try to move in like this. But then we might be able to pick up 2 pawns in the process. Alternatively, they could try to move in here and check us from behind. But I think we should be safe from that. Currently they've got 2 pawns hanging and they can only defend 1 of them. So either they will play here, here, or here. They play like this, and we get a 3 pawn, it looks like. I think we should accept it, and maybe push this pawn from behind. This might just still be a theoretical draw. Let's have a look here. I think we have to go for this. They will capture here and get an outside passed pawn, and we will go here, I think. Then I think we should play like this, cutting off their king first maybe, and then getting behind their pawn. I'm curious as to whether we are able to swindle a draw in this game or not. They will start pushing their pawn, I think. And here we could try to look for some kind of maneuver here, I think. Pushing our pawns. They will keep on pushing their pawn here, I think, and we will both be threatening to getting a queen at some point. I think this move is going to be critical because we need to hide our king so they can't check us and get a queen like this. First, we will... Or should we maybe play like this first? Getting this move and making sure it's going to get played. They move back. And here I think we might have to play this. Now their king is cut off again. They can't really make a queen here as of yet. I think we'll just push this pawn. As long as we have this pawn here, they can't check us and make a queen. I'm honestly not sure as to what's happening in this position at all, to be honest. We might even be in Zugzwang. I'm not quite sure. Let's move this, it's going to be protected, and we could threaten this maneuver. They can't really take this pawn here, I think. If we move here, we could just move like here if they move their rook. I think we are slowly making some progress here, which I'm really optimistic about. We could move our rook back soon and make space for another push here. Eventually play f5 as well. This might, as I mentioned, still be a theoretical draw, but it's going to be practically difficult for our opponent. I think we'll cut off their king again. And try to advance up here. This move, I think, forces their king to defend this, and then we could try pushing this, forcing their rook away here, and we get the pawn. If they go here, I think we go here actually. And this, I think, should be a critical move. Because now they have to capture here, and we get a queen, or they go here and we threaten making a queen. And now we threaten checkmate in one move. So they have to move out of the way. And I think this might actually be a win from a horrible position. They can't really get their rook into the game, and they proceed to resign the game. Perfect. That brings us up to 1366 ELO, and thanks a lot for the game, Pishta55. Let's jump on into the game review, guys. Let's make sure we have everything turned on here. Okay, so today we played with an accuracy of 86.3 and our opponent played with an accuracy of 83.3. That's pretty close. I think it's the closest accuracy we've had so far. We had this kind of a opening here. They played a London and we played like this. It seems the positions was pretty equal for a long time, but this was an inaccuracy. We should have apparently gotten our bishop onto this diagonal here and had this kind of a position afterwards. Okay. So why was our other move bad? Is it because of the capture? And what happens if we capture? Then they have bishop to d6. Oh, I see. They would deny us any castling here. That's a good move. It's not a very human move, at least not at this level, but it hits this pawn as well as denying us castling. And we can't push this pawn to defend this either, so everything is kind of awkward in this position. And while we played like this, they missed it, because it's an awkward kind of move to see. This, I mentioned, I thought was an inaccuracy, which it was. We got the bishop here, we defended, apparently. This is why I don't really understand computers at times. This was better. I guess it's because this might be a poisoned pawn. Yeah, because what does our opponent do if we move here? Their queen would be trapped in this square and we might be able to just pick it up. Okay, but we didn't play like this, and we played it like this, and got here. Apparently we should have pushed here, which we talked about, before moving our bishop, which makes sense. Here we should have not moved onto this file, but moved here, where we could have captured and opened up. That makes sense. Because in this position here, I was super curious as to what the best move would be, as it was kind of difficult to formulate a good plan. Well, they moved in like this, we captured, and this was apparently an inaccuracy. Because of this move, and here we should have actually played this. Oh, I see, because... I think I see actually, but I might be wrong though. If they move this... Well, let's have a look. What's the best move? Bishop to e2, actually. Wow. Because if they move their knight anywhere, then this is a double attack. That's a really cool move, which we didn't spot. So we went into this instead. Got our bishop back here, and this was an inaccuracy. Here, this move. Yeah, I think we should have just grabbed the center here and maybe even pressured this pawn here, as it's kind of difficult to defend. In hindsight, I don't think they had any way of defending this pawn even. Because this knight here is 4 moves away from defending it, and their king wouldn't have been able to get here to defend their pawn, because the knight would be hitting them. That's really cool, but we didn't see it. And this was an inaccuracy. Oh, sorry. Let's go one back. Here we should have moved the rook over again. I guess it was too early to open up, and yeah, we lost our pawn here. Still, it wants us to capture the c file, which we didn't do, and we got into this position. This was a massive mistake even, because of this move which they played. At this point, apparently, we were completely lost, which we were in fact for a long time. They pushed us back and found a lot of good moves here. This was indeed the best recapture, and we should have moved behind our king here, which makes sense, taking the open file here, but we moved like this, and here it seems they blundered. Yeah, because we got a pawn back, and now we were at a point of equality. We got a pawn and a second pawn, and now we were actually better. This move seems to have been even better here. We played a few moves back and forth here. It says this was an inaccuracy, but this moves by 0.2. I guess we should have just taken this pawn here, which makes sense. I can't remember why I was kind of worried about the continuation. Yeah, because we would have lost this pawn. They checked us here, and now we got another pawn. And at this point, I think it was just a really nice conversion here. I'm really happy with this endgame, how it played out. It seems we lost a bit of our advantage, however. It's not always super easy to play endgames, but this lost them the game immediately here, actually. Okay, I didn't see this. I think pushing this pawn would have allowed us to push this one afterwards. Well, they blundered again into this, and here this was a first checkmate. Well, that's our game for today, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you all tomorrow. Bye bye.